We back and it's December. We are in swing, full swing. Here's what I want to talk to you about today. If you're like me, which I know many of you are, because like attracts like, if you're watching this on YouTube, my chair is getting away from me and it's a little awkward. Okay, it's fixed. If you're like me, you have a lot of commitments over the holidays and you want to do all the things and you don't want to do all the things. While you want to do all the things, you know it's not possible for you to do all the things. Here's what I learned, and here's how I learned it. So I learned how to say no and take back some time and how to say no without any drama. I'm going to tell you, I have five ways for you to choose from to say no without any drama or minimizing drama. Sometimes it's just drama. But usually there's not when you use these approaches. So every December, I used to have these fantastical holiday parties. I mean, they were bananas. One year I had an ice sculpture. Another year I had a champagne fountain. And we're talking into an apartment in Boston back in the day. And this was a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment. Anyway, um, one year, like I was looking back through photos, and I'm gonna, if you get the weekly buzz, I'm gonna include a photo of one of the parties. I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, that was my house. We used to have so much fun. Anyway, so they were very, very fun. And one year it looked like a total disco. And everything was curated. There was a theme, there was custom cocktail napkins. It was, I had helpers who would help me. Again, this was a small condo, but there was so much to do and so many people. Anyway, so, and I was doing all this while working full time, while delivering keynotes, while spending more time than not on an airplane, and different time zones, different. I mean, it's crazy because December. Those of you that are in the corporate world, December is when everybody gets all their meetings in, like the first week in December. Let's meet now so we don't have to meet over the holidays, or let's meet the second week in December so we don't have to meet over the holidays. First 2 weeks in December are nuts. And that's when I would plan and ultimately have some of these parties. So I used to do it and it was so much fun. And I loved these parties. They were great until they weren't, until it took up just too much energy. It was too much. It started becoming a task. And even though I enjoyed it, they just wore me out and they rung me up, and I would kind of collapse into the last week in December, completely spent. And that's no way to live. So I stopped. And I swear to you, there was a movement. There might even still be a movement. Some of you listening used to go to these parties. I see you. I hear your little hints. We will have another one eventually, but not for a while. And that will be as a farewell to that condo. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. So people still stop me randomly. Hey, when are you going to have another holiday party? Do have one particular friend who every year asks when it's going to be. And every year I tell her it's not happening. And every year she gives me the look, the look from The Devil Wears Prada, where Meryl Streep, I think it's Meryl Streep, just looks the woman up and down, up and down. That's the look I get when I tell this particular person that I'm not having the party. Anyway, she's very upset. So when I say no, I say it with peace in my heart, and I say it knowing that I simply cannot do it. I simply cannot do these parties anymore. So let's talk about December, and let's talk about December and how 6 months of living gets crammed into 28 days or 21 days or however many days you have. Because by now, the invitations are rolling in, I'm sure. The group texts are going, things are heating up, and I guarantee you that you are getting inundated with one little thing, one more little thing. Oh, that looks like it would be so fun. And oh, I really wish I could go there. And, at the end of the day, you cannot do all the things. You can't do everything you want to do this month. You can't. You can't. Let me speak for myself. I can't. I want to do all the things. Something has to give. I can't be everywhere and be able to do all the things. So we have to prioritize. And when we're prioritizing, that means that we have to say no to something so we can say yes to something else. So here are 5 ways that I have learned to say no. with kindness and without any drama. Ready? All right. You got a pen? If you're driving, you can come back to this. Please don't write while you're driving. Number one, this one is my favorite, and I'll tell you, I had the opportunity to use it the other night, and I didn't. And the second I didn't use this, I knew I should have. Number one is, can I get back to you? There is no shame in saying, "Oh, that sounds really lovely. Can I get back to you? I want to make sure I want to make sure that I'm able to make it, or I want to make sure I don't have something else on that day, or I want to make sure uh, that I'm not already committed." However you want to phrase it. Can I get back to you? That's it, right? Really, what this is a buy time. This is a buy time question. Think about if you're on a game show and you say, "Can I get back to you?" So this is making sure that present you doesn't overcommit future you. Okay. So I'm a little hopped up on sugar at the moment. I've been I've been consciously not having sugar. And then today I was baking quite a bit and I had a ton of sugar. So it's actually kind of scary. My words are not coming out as well as they should be because of the sugar crash. Anyway, I digress. So you want to make sure that present day you is not volunteering future you as tribute. Okay. It's number one. Number two, and you can say it very kindly, some iteration of, "Oh, that sounds great. Unfortunately, that's not going to work." I don't love the word unfortunately. I think a lot of times it's insincere. In this case, it is sincere, but ooh, that date's not going to work. Short and sweet. That's it. Or if it's something that's not going to work because you don't want to do it, it's not a conflict, it's not you overcommitting. Let's say it's somebody that says, "Hey, do you want to go out for that 10-course Italian meal that we always say we're going to go out for in December?" Right? That's not something I want to do in December. There's a million different activities and parties. It's not something that I want to do. What I could say is, "Oh, you know what? That's not going to work, but do you want to meet up and go for a walk after work one night this week?" Or, "You know what? I don't think that's going to work. How about if we meet for a cup of coffee on the weekend instead?" Or something to that effect. That way you're taking something that you don't want to do and you're turning it into something that you do want to do and on your time schedule and on your time frame. Okay. Number three, by the way, I have used number two a lot. I've used number two for years. And it's very interesting. And it may be too early or maybe a little early to talk about this. I'm going to talk about it anyway. When you start changing your lifestyle and your lifestyle habits. So for example, let's say you used to meet the rosé after work crowd all the time. Okay. And you decide you don't want to drink rosé wine anymore. I'm using this as an example because it's easy. And you say to your friends that you usually meet on Thursdays, and you say, "Oh, you know what? That's not going to work. What if we get together for lunch on Friday instead?" You will quickly find out who really wants to spend time with you versus who wants to partake in that activity. If it's about the rosé and you're not into the rosé anymore, and they don't want to meet you for lunch, then was it ever about the friendship or was it about the rosé? Throw that out there. That's a bonus question to ask yourself. Okay. Number three. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm not going to be able to make it. I hope it's a great event. That's it. Warm and kind. Thank you so much for thinking of us. We can't make it on that date. I hope it is really, really a success. That's all. No need to justify it. No need to say, no, thank you. I'd rather not do a cookie swap, whatever it is. Just say, "Thanks for thinking of me. I won't be able to make it. I hope it's a great event." The end. The end doesn't really leave much room for interpretation. Um, oh, these are like progressively aggressive, progressive aggressive. Number four, this one takes practice. I do like this one. And I use this at home a lot, actually. I think you need to be mindful of who you use it with. That sounds lovely. I have as much on my plate as I'm comfortable with right now, so I'll have to pass. So you're not saying I have too much going on. You're not saying I'm overwhelmed. You're saying I have as much on my plate as I'm comfortable with right now. I'll have to pass. This, by the way, works great at work. If you have somebody that wants to give you a project or wants you to work on a project, I have as much on my plate as I'm comfortable with. Notice the words I'm choosing. You're not saying I have too much to do already. I have more on my plate than I'm comfortable with. It's I have as much on my plate as I'm comfortable with. This is that's total control. I control what gets put on my plate of things to do. I get to control what I'm comfortable with. And if I'm not comfortable with adding more, I'm not adding more. It's a little deep for that one little saying. And at the same time, it's very accurate. I have as much on my plate as I'm comfortable with. I do that. Sometimes I do that at home, and it's kind of a subliminal. I have a lot of things happening right now, and I'm not taking on anything else. It's a nicer way to say that. So the person can either take something off your plate so that you can put something else on your plate, or they can do the project themselves. All right, I digressed. Okay, last but not least, this one's a doozy. Ready? No, that's really it. Hey, do you want to go ice skating with me? No. I mean, you have to be close with the person to just say flat out no, or whatever iteration of no you want to use. Hey, you want to go in with me on a beach house in St. Martin with 10 other women? No, thanks. You can say no thanks, right? No thanks. That's it, right? Done. What I like about no or no thanks is you're opening the door for negotiation. Here's what I mean. You're opening the door to negotiate for less. So let's say, um, let's say it's, hey, do you want to come over and watch an all day SVU marathon? Actually, I would never say no to that. So that's not a good example because I love SVU. I think Benson and Stabler are real and they're my friends, but that's a story for another time. Let's say it's, hey, do you want to come over and spend the afternoon baking cookies so that we can do a cookie swap? You can say, no, thank you. I'd be happy to come over and drop off a dozen, or no, thank you. I'd love to sit and have a cup of tea when you're done, or no, thank you, whatever the case may be. Similar to the, I don't want to go out for the 10-course meal. Can we meet after work? But it's like a lesser of the, it's less time. Hey, do you want to come over and wrap all your presents together? Which, by the way, sounds like it would be super fun. If you don't want to do that, you could say something like, no, how about if we meet and do our top ones over breakfast or coffee? No thanks, I can't really spend all day doing that. How about if we get together over coffee and bang out a few small ones or something like that? So when you say no, you're opening the door to negotiate something a little smaller, if that less time, if that's something that you want to do. Here's why I'm telling you all of this. December, we're all going to be asked to show up in 1,000 different ways. We already are. It's already starting. And sometimes the pressure comes from others. Sometimes the pressure comes from us and our own overachieving brains. And present Nancy thinks that future Nancy is going to have 10 more hours in the day, or X amount more energy, or a capacity that's 10 times what it really is. That's okay. Remember that you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to protect your energy, particularly at this time of year when there is so much to be joyful about and so many things to focus on and be present for and celebrate. And also gearing up for January when it is horses out of the gate and we are going. So you want to show up as the best you, not the cat who puts his finger in the light socket version of you. And anybody remember that meme? That's actually in the newsletter that went out because it's so funny. Not the frazzled you. You want to show up as um what do I call it? Newscaster Nancy. Woof. Not really newscaster Nancy because she was fake, but you want to show up as the you that you want to be, not the you that's pulled in a million different directions and just drained. So that's it. End of story. A quickie. December 5, this is my gift to you for the next couple of weeks. Here's how to say no, and then be able to go out there and thrive like you mean it. Very special episode coming up next week, Thrivesters. Make sure you subscribe so that you get notified because it's going to be a really good one. I promise.